Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Can everyone see? Is it working? Okay, so alhamdulillah guys, I thought I'd do another Q&A with you guys so the questions don't pile up as they usually do. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can answer these now. So anyway, if you guys can hear, wa alaikum assalam Adil. I didn't see you after Jummah this week. Alright, so let's just wait for people to come on. Yeah, hopefully I've shared the link, so should be working. Alright, so if you guys have any questions, you can put the questions in the comments. I don't know if you guys can hear me or not. If you can hear me, then just put in the comments. Is it the voice, the sound high enough? Should I lower it? Should I raise it? Sound is okay, yeah? Okay, excellent. That means I think we should start. Alright, so okay, let's look at questions now. You guys can ask questions. Let me just put it in here just in case. You can ask questions here or on Curious. How do you spell it? CuriousCat.me/82. Okay, so you can hear, yeah? Excellent. MashaAllah. Baraka and Sunni and honored. Right, so let's have a look at the questions then. Right, where did we stop? Now, I don't know if you guys remember where we stopped. Okay. Alright, so I think this is the question. Is this the question? Alright, so Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Okay, can we buy a house using Islamic mortgage from Al-Rayyan Bank? That's the first question. Then, also, if it's permissible, should we use our money to deposit on a house or do our Hajj first? We have not been for Hajj yet. Okay, so this is a good question. The question basically is, can a person go to a Rayyan Bank and get one of their mortgage systems? So from what I know, I haven't really kind of researched a Rayyan Bank fully, but from what I know about their the way that they work is they do something which is like what is known as a musharaka, a leasing musharaka, right? So you basically kind of like buy it off them, and then slowly, bit by bit, you like they buy the property for you, and then you buy it off them, and you do it in bits, installments. So technically that model is a permissible model, but I don't know anything extra that they do or anything which they also have in the contract which might be problematic. I haven't seen the contracts and how they work because they're always updating them. That's the problem. So I don't have time to be updated with how they work. But generally, I mean, from what I've heard from other people that are familiar with it, they say it's permissible. Also, is it permissible? Okay, so the next question now is that if a person has money saved up, should they spend that money on the house? Should they put it as a deposit, or should they use that money to go for Hajj and they haven't been Hajj? So what I would say is use it on the house. You don't have to go for Hajj unless the Hajj has become necessary on you. Then you have to go for Hajj. And some people, they want to go for Hajj, but I mean, if it's not necessary on you, then you don't have to. You don't have to save up for it. So I would say house is more important. So invest in the house. Okay, why don't you call her Lily? That's a nice name for a cat. Okay, this is to do with the cat. So we haven't given a name for the cat yet. Basically, it's nameless. Yeah. So make dua for the cat. We were calling it cat at the moment, kitty, catty, and we had a previous cat was called Polly. Right, but anyway, or call her Ruby. That's a nice name. Or Ladu. Or these all sound like Pakistani names. Yeah, and our cat is British. It's a British cat. Or about the name Rani? It means a princess. Okay. No, our cat is not a Rani. Our cat is a mouse catcher. Yeah. So the cat is gonna, inshallah, one day catch mice and make us proud. Okay, next. Wa alaikum assalam. I am. Okay, answer this one. Okay, so this is a question in response to another question that I answered. Let's see the previous question. Are backbiting, lying, and doing other haram things while fasting examples of ada qasir? You were explaining this concept in Usul Shashi lesson. So this is a bit of an advanced question. This is for those students who are doing the Usul Shashi on my patrons. So yes, fasting is fard, and the obligations of fasting are not eating, not drinking, and not having sexual intercourse. So if a person does these other things like lying and backbiting, etc., that will not nullify the fast according to majority of scholars, but those things will affect the quality of the fast. So they lower the status. So that's why this would be considered to be ada qasir. And as we know in usul, ada qasir, to make it up requires either to repeat it or to do some sort of like a recompense, or compensation, istighfar, ask Allah forgiveness, and pray nafal fast just to kind of make it up. So following this, I see. So is that how we understand all the hadith that mention whoever backbites, then there's no point in him refraining from food, or whoever did this, then his namaz is not complete? We in that case we understand that statement to mean that the fasts will not be at the highest level. You're not presenting your fast at the best level to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Which means that the fast is done. Technically you've ticked off the boxes, but in the eyes of Allah that fast is like a deficient fast. Okay. If someone is unaware that istibra is necessary for a year, example. So I do apologize if some of the questions are a bit advanced, then you guys are going to have to be patient. Put your fingers in your ears or something, or just make some tea for yourself. Or just turn away from the screen. So those who ask advanced questions, I have to answer the advanced questions, and I won't all the time be able to simplify it for people who haven't studied. If someone is unaware that istibra is necessary for a year, for example, is qada salah of that year necessary due to the fact that drops would have come out? Okay, so istibra basically is when a person goes to toilet, they make sure all the drops of urine have fully come out from the urethra, right, from the passage of urine. So a person sits in the toilet, moves around maybe, and maybe when they clean their genitals, they press a bit just to make sure that the drops come out. So this is considered to be necessary, because if you get up and then you do wudu and then those drops come out, your wudu breaks. So the rule is, if you're unaware of this happening, if you didn't know that this is coming out, right, you're not 100% sure, then your wudu is considered to be fine. But if you do know that they did come out, then all those salats that you 100% knew that it came out, 100%, then you'd have to repeat those salats. Okay, should the reply to the azan be given for the azan given just before the Jummah khutbah? Should the reply to the azan given for the azan given just before the Jummah khutbah, they remain quiet? So it's basically, you just say in your heart the response in your heart, and it's not necessary to say the response. According to the Hanafis, it's considered mustahab. So the hadith which comes in Tirmidhi and also in other books as well, where the Prophet also mentioned about when you hear the adhan فَقُولُوا مِثْلَ مَا يَقُولُ الْمُؤَذِّنُ, say like the mu'adhin says. So that's basically, it's mustahab to say, it's not necessary, it's not fard. Okay, when is someone actually rewarded when doing an incorrect ijtihad? E.g. in Hadith, we see Usama killing a person when he said the Shahada in battle, who was reprimanded in this, and other cases. Are they still rewarded for the ijtihad? So ijtihad, not everyone does ijtihad basically. Like in other words, every Muslim who tries to find the answer to a question that they have in Islam, it doesn't matter how much effort they put in, not everyone is considered to be fulfilling the duty of ijtihad. So if there's 6 billion Muslims, or there's not 6 billion Muslims, there's about 6 billion humans. Let's say, for example, there's 100 Muslims, and these 100 Muslims are now trying to find the answer to questions in Salat and fasting and Hajj and wudu, etc. So their finding the answer is not necessarily called ijtihad. Ijtihad is only those out of the 100 who are qualified to understand the rules in Islam, as in the text in Islam, what Allah says, and then they can't find an explicit answer to a question. So they try their best using what they know to find the answer. And this is only done by qualified people, right? This is why, Allah in the Quran, He mentions about those people, لَعَلِمَهُ الَّذِينَ يَسْتَنْبِتُونَهُ مِنْهُمْ, those people who have the ability to go deep into the Masail, they'll know the answer. And we have many narrations as well where the Prophet ﷺ, he told off certain people because they tried to come out with the answer, but they came out with the wrong answer, and he told them off. He actually, in some cases, he cursed them even. And there was a man who basically had a cut in his head, and he asked the other companions, I've got a cut in my head, can I do tayammum instead of ghusl? And they said, no, you got to do ghusl. He did ghusl and he died. And then when the Prophet ﷺ found out about this, he got really upset, and he actually told them that, may Allah kill you, may Allah destroy you, because you just destroyed this man with your wrong answer. So that's why the ijtihad has to be according to the ijtihad of a person who is qualified at least to understand the texts and understand how the Sharia works. And then the ijtihad is done in those things which are unclear. So a person who does wrong ijtihad, their ijtihad will not be correct. It won't be considered as correct, so they won't be getting the reward. And this hadith about the mujtahid, إذا اجتهد المجتهد وأصاب فله أجران وإذا أخطأ فله أجر. So this is basically mentioned in Abu Dawood, and there's a commentator on Abu Dawood, Al-Khattabi, and he, under this hadith, he mentions that you have to be qualified. Basically, the scholars say that you must be a qualified person to do ijtihad. So average person can't do ijtihad. It's just like average person trying to figure out some sort of medical treatment on their own, right? Even if they get the right answer, it's still wrong, because they're not qualified for it, and in most cases they will make big mistakes, big errors. Average person trying to do heart surgery or brain surgery just from Google, very dangerous. Okay, in the Sahaba's era, when people would travel to other countries who dealt with different currencies, was there a currency exchange system? I am not sure. The thing is though, in the olden days, they never used to have currency like we have today. So in today's times, currency standards are globalized. So you have a standard which is considered to be unified across the globe. As in the past, it was different. It was based upon the weights of gold. You'd kind of like agree to a sale. So you'd have gold coins with your silver coins, and then you'd go to another country and maybe they had gold or silver coins. But whatever you're gonna buy, they're just gonna say to you, okay, what have you got? And then you just show them, look, I've got a watch, and I've got obviously they didn't have watch in them days, but like in nowadays, I'll have a watch and I've got some pens and I've got some miswak or something, and I'll trade you these for. So that's how they used to, it was more like a bartering sort of system with gold and silver. So they would say things like, okay, what have you got? I've got 10 gold coins, weigh them. Okay, I'll take 7 gold coins for this. So there wasn't a strict system of currency exchange like we understand today. This was a sort of a modern development in the world. What book do you recommend for ghazal poetry? So ghazal poetry, in Arabic, ghazal poetry means love poetry, like romantic poetry. That's ghazal poetry. It's where a man talks about a woman, whether he knows her or doesn't know her. He kind of like just praises her beauty and stuff like that. And likewise, the opposite of a woman. So ghazal is specifically for like romantic poetry. And I actually, on the YouTube channel, I did a short series on Umar ibn Abi Rabi'ah. He's like the main kind of ghazal guy in Arabic poetry. He's the main ghazal. He's the ghazali. Yeah. So is that? I think that's what you're talking about. What do you recommend for ghazal poetry? I think you mean Arabic. In English, I don't know, but Arabic, yeah. So ghazal poetry, the main kind of guy is him, and then after him, maybe people like Mutanabbi. He's also famous for his ghazal poetry as well. So these are ones that I'd recommend. Okay. If someone has alcohol, does the punishment of 40 days of salah not count, and not counting, still occur after repentance? What would drugs fall under this punishment? So there's a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ, he says that a person who drinks alcohol, his salat will not be accepted for 40 days. What the hadith means is that the salat will be done, but he won't get reward for the salat for 40 days. Now, if he repents, the ulama say, then the threat of the hadith doesn't apply, right? Then Allah will accept, right? Because the hadith is there to show the people how severe this sort of action is, that to deter people from this, it's showing that, look, it's not worth it. And would drugs also fall under? Yes, possibly they would. They possibly fall under, because the same common meaning is found. So, however, we wouldn't be able to say exactly, because we're not allowed to, in Islam, we're not allowed to attribute like a punishment or a virtue, a reward, to something that's not mentioned in that particular ayah or hadith. So if the hadith mentions, for example, like alcohol, but it doesn't talk about drugs, so there is a punishment for drugs, but we can't exactly 100% say that it'll be the same punishment. Now we know it's obviously sinful, and there is big threats for anyone who takes any sort of intoxicant. Okay. What does the verse of hearts finding rest in the remembrance of Allah mean in light of depression? Okay, so this ayah in the Quran, Ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. What this ayah does not mean that you won't have depression. I think many people mistakenly understand this. Just like many people mistakenly kind of what people do, a lot of people do is they have these concepts in their mind, and then when they like start practicing Islam, these sort of concepts, they superimpose them onto ayats, right? So they have these concepts in their mind, and then like things like Gandhi's famous statement that is it his famous statement that be the change that you want. Now there is no verse in the Quran that says that. Now yes, obviously in the Quran there might be a concept somewhere which is in between the lines, which is saying something similar, but you can't like take a verse and just try to twist Gandhi's statement on there. So Gandhi's statement, you can't do that. Likewise, some people say Allah will never like kind of put a person in a situation in life which they can't bear. You probably heard this. Allah will never put a person in a situation in life that they never can bear. That's also not in the Quran. What is in the Quran is that Allah in the religion will never give you a law in religion which is too much for a human to do. So Allah will never in Islam tell us to do something which is too much for us. La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha. Allah will not burden a person in the religion, in the laws of the religion, more. This is what the ulama say the ayah means. So going back to this ayah, the ayah which is related to ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. This ayah, if you look at the context, the theme of the ayah, the kind of context of the surah as well, this ayah is referring to that those people who do shirk with Allah, those people who don't believe in Allah, their hearts will never ever be at rest. They will never have found the true meaning of life. They're always going to be unsettled. They're always going to be like shifting around here and there. But a person who believes in Allah, dhikr Allah, has remembrance of Allah, knows who his creator is, knows who's the one who's brought him into existence is, his heart will kind of like just freeze. It'll become so peaceful that it'll just freeze, as in it's found its whole purpose in life. It's found its creator. It's like a key that finds the lock. So you have a bunch of keys and you're trying to put in the lock and it's not working, and then you find that one key that fits in the lock. It's just like everything makes sense. Ala bi dhikrillahi alladhina amanu تطمئن قلوبهم بذكر الله ألا بذكر الله تطمئن القلوب. Yeah, so this only happens with people who recognize Allah properly. So the Christians have not recognized Allah, the Jews do not recognize Allah, the mushriks do not recognize Allah, atheists do not recognize Allah. That's why their hearts are not settled in life. That's what the ayah means. Allah alam. I mean, this ayah is not for depression basically. And depression is a thing that affects Muslims, affects non-Muslims. It's for, its causes are many. May Allah protect everyone from depression. Is repeating Allah and illallah considered dhikr and deemed rewardable? Okay, so this is a good question, which basically is that if a person says Allah, 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 like this, Allah, Allah, is that a dhikr of Allah? So, I mean, if you say, for instance, like dhikr of Allah, then technically the word Allah is a dhikr, is a remembrance. Like the whole point of remembering Allah, like saying Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, La ilaha illallah, all of these is to be conscious of Allah. That's the whole point of doing all these dhikrs, is to become like enlightened, is to become in a state where you're always remembering Allah, you abstain from sin. So like when you go work, that's the aim, to keep reminding yourself, to keep this continuous remembrance going on. So therefore, this can be achieved by saying Allah. So if you say to Allah, 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 and you're reminding yourself of Allah, yes, it can be counted as the dhikr of Allah. But is there a specific reward attached to just saying Allah on its own? Then from what I know, there's no ayat in the Quran, and there's no hadith in the Quran that gives a specific reward for this. Yes, the ayat say udhkurullaha dhikran kathir, remember Allah dhikran kathiran. يذكرون الله قياما, they remember Allah standing and sitting. Yeah, but the thing is there any specific like reward, like this will happen or that will happen or they'll get this? And there isn't a specific thing, but yes, it does fall into dhikr. What about things like illallah? So this illallah, again, because it contains the word Allah, yes, it'll be counted as a dhikr. But to kind of say that again there is a specific reward for it, then we can't prove that. There's no specific way of kind of saying this is a specific type of reward for it, illallah. These kind of dhikrs that people do, that certain tariqas, Sufi tariqas do, they do this because they find it like more effective in trying to create this spiritual sort of like feeling inside. So imagine, like for instance, imagine you're an athlete and you want to become the fastest runner, or you want to become the best badminton player, or you want to become the best footballer. So what you do is you get yourself a trainer who is well trained in that specific field, and he knows exactly how to tweak every individual up to get to his optimal level. So what these experts in the dhikr will to you is, for example, try this dhikr, say this dhikr repeatedly. There is like benefit in there for you. Say this one, this will help you focus on this, and this will. So this isn't something categorical from Islam, but it's through trial and error, testing. So this is why some people find that by shaking your head, there's a certain feeling you can get. A lot of this technically is from, you can say, like other sort of like religions. Buddhism, they do this yoga, they do this meditation, breathing exercises, all of these things. Now, is this type of dhikr, like illallah, Allah, is this something which is recommended? Is it something which is good for a person to do? Personally, I would say I don't agree with this. The reason being I don't agree with this is because these types of dhikrs, I believe, if they were good, we would have found Sahaba doing this particular type of way, right? We know that Sahaba, whatever they did, they did anything in the religion that they did is the best. Anything in the entire, until the Day of Judgment, that is going to be the best way of doing it in religion is always going to be by the Sahaba. We know that. But to say that this is wrong, I can't say this is wrong. I would say it's something which humans do. If humans become experts in breathing through their mouth and through their nose, and being able to move their bodies in a rhythmic way to try and get to a certain sort of like spiritual feeling, you don't need Islam for that. Buddhists have shown us that they can achieve this nirvana state through this. So with the dhikr itself, people are adopting this and finding benefit in this. Anyway, so that's my 2 pence on it. I mean, if you guys agree with me, then you agree. If you don't agree with me, it's fine. I have no qualms against those people who do it. Some of my teachers used to do it, some of my friends, but personally, I don't like to kind of do this kind of type of exercise dhikr. Okay, if a karama is related soundly but is exaggerated in its description, is that a sign it is incorrect? If a karama is related soundly but is exaggerated in its description, I don't know. I mean, you gotta give me an example, like what you mean by that kind of. Like, I don't understand the nature of the question. In Hanafi fiqh, is there preferred qira'ah for deriving rulings? No, all qira'at. Yeah, all qira'at are considered to be valid, and we look into them. Is every Sahabi deemed better than those who succeeded them? Uwais Qarni was told to stay with his mother rather than going to see the Prophet ﷺ, in which case he would have been a sinful Sahabi rather than an obedient Tabi'i. Does this mean that him being a Sahabi would be better despite being sinful in that case? So, first of all, a Sahaba, what we have to understand about the Sahaba is that we clearly know that the Sahaba were not all the same. There are ranks amongst the Sahaba. So you have the highest Sahaba, you have the ones that come after them. And Imam Suyuti and other famous muhaddithin have listed the tabaqat of the Sahaba, the hierarchy of the Sahaba. They start off like Imam Ahmad starts off with Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, then Umar radiallahu anhu, Uthman, then Ali, and then etc. So clearly there is a ranking system amongst the Sahaba. The second is, did Sahaba commit sins? Yes, they did. They were human beings. They committed sins. Some behind closed doors, some in the open. But the thing is, because Allah has mentioned to us about the Sahaba that Allah has forgiven them, we kind of stop there and we accept that Allah has forgiven them, right? Because in the Quran Allah says, radiyallahu anhum wa radu'an. Okay, yeah, certain Sahaba there's ikhtilaf of whether they were Sahaba or not, right? So we got to be a bit cautious in how we approach this masala. So I think questions like this, although it's a very sort of like it seems like a very honest question that someone's asking. But what I would say is, look, we can't judge. Like there's Sahaba that were fornicated, narrations of Sahaba that fornicated and then they were punished for it. Sahaba that drank alcohol and then they were punished for it. So we can't say that if a Sahabi commits a sin, he's less in rank. We can't say that. If they're Sahaba, then we accept that these people are of the highest level. Okay, so we don't really need to go into that. Why do we say 48 miles in the distance of travel when that doesn't cater for the land that is travelled? I.e. hilly areas would decrease the distance, would it not? So good question. 48 miles is one interpretation of the Hanafi position. The Hanafi position, Abu Hanifa never said 48 miles, nor did his students. So the original Hanafis, they didn't come out with any sort of specific like number of miles. They came out with certain opinions. What they said was basically is that the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned about 3 days and 3 nights journey. And 3 days and 3 nights journey is basically traveling, I worked this out, 6 hours a day. So from Fajr till Dhuhr, right, which is, I said about 6 hours. So about 6 hours a day traveling. How long distance could you travel? So yes, if it's a hilly, terrain, then it's going to be less miles. And if it's going to be a flat terrain, easier terrain, and there's even more miles. So this is why, some scholars, like in the UK, have even said that according to the British hours, in winter you have basically like between Fajr sunrise and between Dhuhr, you have 4 hours. So therefore 4 hours, 3 days of 4 hours is basically 12 hours, and 12 hours times it by the speed it takes for a person to walk, which is 3 miles per hour, let's say. This is 36 miles, so they say 36 miles in the UK is a safar. Some say no, it's actually longer. So this issue of the 48 miles thing is not a categorical thing from the Hanafis. Some later muftis in history, they told people to follow the 48 because it was easier for them. Because if you say to the average person, right, 3 days and 3 nights travel, 6 hours a day, you work it out, it's going to cause confusion. But if you tell them, right, you can take this opinion of 48 miles, it's kind of like the best thing that I've come out with. So that's basically what the 48 miles is. Okay, in the verse mentioning that killing an innocent soul is that killing the entire mankind, it begins with, because of that, i.e. the story of Habil and Qabil. What connection does this does with this? The verse also says that this was ordained for Bani Israel, so is it correct to say that the like killing is saving entire mankind for our ummah too? Okay. Okay, I think I understand the question. So in the verse, verses in Surah Al-Ma'idah, yeah, where Allah says, look, the two sons of Adam disputed, right? And at the end of the dispute, one of them killed the other one. Basically, short story, a long story made short. And then Allah says that من أجل ذلك, because of that, كتبنا على بني إسرائيل أنه من قتل نفسا فكأنما قتل الناس جميعا ومن أحيا فكأنما أحيا الناس جميعا. So this seems to be the first case of murder on the face of the earth by a human being. And so because this occurred, what basically happened was the laws became apparent now. So for example, let's say in the UK, we never used to have laws regarding driving and having a mobile phone in your hand, right? Because there was no mobiles. But then later on, when the mobile phone came in, then what happened? There had to be laws that had to be legislated. So what happened with humans is whenever something new came into society, they'd become aware of a law regarding that particular thing. So this is why before the murder ever happened, there doesn't seem to be the law that, whoever kills a person, it's as though he's killed the entire mankind. So this is where it first happened. And, the Prophet ﷺ in a narration has also mentioned, he says that the worst person is the one that does a crime, and because of him, all the other people have restrictions put on them. Yeah, so in other words, this is what happens to us when we start doing bad things, and then laws have to be put in place, and then because of those laws, life becomes difficult for other people. But the thing is, you have to understand, humans are going to commit murder. That's how it's going to happen. When you have a group of people living in a society and their nature and their desires and their things are conflicting, you are going to have crimes and murder and all that. So this connection is to show us how severe murder is. Like killing a person is not like killing an ant. It's not like killing a bird or killing a chicken or a goat. Killing a human being, it has a ripple impact on the entire earth. Yeah, it's very, very detrimental to the soul of the society. And mentioning about the Bani Israel, I haven't really checked this out, but what it seems is though that because Allah is teaching us about the mistakes that Bani Israel made, and Bani Israel were like the biggest nation that this ummah is learning from. Like they were like the big brother nation. They've gone through the kind of trials and tests that a nation goes through. So this is why. So Banu Israel actually came much after Habil and Qabil, right? Thousands of years after them. Okay, next. What does mahar signify in Surah Mumtahina? Why were the believers allowed to demand the mahar back from their disbelieving wives in Mecca? Okay, so in Surah Mumtahina, I think this is wrong. In Surah Mumtahina, what it says is that if they come to you, what's the ayah? مؤمنات مهاجرات فامتحنوهن فإن علمتموهن مؤمنات فلا ترجعوهن إلى الكفار لا هن حل لكم ولا هم يحلونهن واعتمروا بينهما. What's the ayah for that? Anyway, so basically what the ayah is saying is because what had happened basically was in the 6th year, there was the Prophet ﷺ and Sahaba went to do Umrah and they were banned. And so a treaty was written up, and that treaty was basically saying that any man who comes from Mecca as a Muslim to Medina has to be returned. So what happened was when men were coming, they were being returned, but the treaty didn't say anything about women. So Allah revealed the Quranic verse about this, that if women come to you from Mecca, then test them, as in make sure that they truly have come for the right reason, for the faith. And if they come to you and they're already married from a person, a non-Muslim in Quraysh, then tell the non-Muslim that they're not coming back, their marriage is over according to us, and we will give you back the money that you gave them as mahar. So the mahar that you gave them when you married them in Makkah, because giving mahar was a kind of practice that was practiced even before Islam. So give the dowry back. That's what I'm saying. Okay, in the Quran, why were the disciples of Isa alayhi salam reprimanded for asking for a sign, the Ma'idah, but Ibrahim alayhi salam was not with the birds? So, okay, I haven't really checked this. I mean, this is something that I probably have to go and do a bit of reading and tafsirs. But from what I recall, in Surah Baqarah mentions about Ibrahim alayhi salam. So what happened was Ibrahim alayhi salam, he says, Rabbi arini kayfa tuhyi al-mawta. Oh my Lord, please show me, how do you bring the dead back to life? And then Allah says, Ibrahim, do you not believe? He says, no, walakin liyatma'inna qalbi. All I want to see is so that my heart becomes content. He goes, okay, then do this. Take these birds and put them on the mountains, and then call them, and they'll come back to you. They'll come alive and come back to you. In Surah Ma'idah, the Bani Israel, they went to Isa alayhi salam, and they said to Isa alayhi salam, they said, ask Allah, please send us down a whole dinner table full of food on there. أنزل علينا مائدة من السماء تكون عيدا لأولنا وآخرنا وآية منك. Their question seems to be very different. Their question is not that we want our hearts to be like, we really believe in you, Allah, but you know, our hearts, our worldly hearts, they to become firm, they like to see things with their own senses. This is what Ibrahim alayhi salam was saying. Ibrahim alayhi salam said, I truly believe, O Allah, but you know, my heart, I just want to satisfy my heart, that's all. Their question it didn't seem like that. So their question was more about, like, you know, we want a sign from you. Like, why do you need sign? Why does everyone need a sign from Allah to believe in Allah? Like, if you think about the existence of Allah, if you think about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He does things, and the existence of Allah and the evidences for this, you know, it's sufficient. So why are followers asking prophets, that Isa alayhi salam not asking this? Why are the followers keep asking, oh Allah, make this happen, make this happen? It's like we're dictating to Allah of how Allah should function, which, you know, we shouldn't do. So this is why that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, okay, I'll send down the Ma'idah, but whoever disbelieves after this, because this is categorical proof that Allah exists. Okay, so that's what comes to my mind. I haven't really kind of read it, but if anyone has read it, you can put it in the comments, inshallah. Okay, regarding Musa alayhi salam throwing the tablets down in the state of anger, what does this mean with adab? I don't understand that. What does this mean with adab? Like, what do you mean? Do you mean like are putting holy tablets down on the ground disrespectful? Is that what you're saying? I don't understand. Okay, is it permitted to combine salahs when traveling or unwell? According to Hanafi madhab, no. According to Shafis, yes. What does the hadith of Prophet ﷺ disliking talking after Isha mean? So the hadith regarding disliking talking after Isha, it comes in Sahih Bukhari, it comes in many other books, where the Prophet ﷺ naha and is samar. Samar is basically like night chatting. So after Isha, they sit down and they like sit in circles and chat all night, tell about stories and all the past years. Prophet ﷺ said, look, don't do this. The only people that should be doing it are people that really need to be up. If you don't need to be up, just go to sleep, right? Because they were a society that used to get up early in the morning. Many of them used to pray tahajjud, get up fajr, go to your farms. And by staying up late at night, what you're going to first of all be doing is probably going to be missing fajr. And then if you kind of like stay up at night and you're chatting, you're most likely going to be saying things which are wrong, backbiting and lying and stuff like that. So this is why he prohibited it. But if there, like Imam Tirmidhi says, if there is a valid reason, like for example, like you're on a journey or you're working or you're studying, then that's permissible. Or you're busy with the affairs of the Muslims, then you can stay up. Or like nowadays, you know, like now, answering people's questions. Okay, how are manuscripts authenticated when they are the only surviving copy? Right, so how are manuscripts authenticated? Now, I'm not an expert in manuscripts, so I'm not really the best guy to answer this question. But from my own understanding of how manuscripts work, basically what happens is, in the past, you had a scholar. This scholar would have written a book, or maybe he would have taught a book. And then he'd have, let's say, you know, multitudes of students. And each one of them would be writing their own books from him. Right? So they would write their books from him. So then scribes may have written those books, and maybe even later on as time went by, technology developed, so they developed, you know, printing presses, so they could actually mass print books. So the way they kind of like authenticate books in the past was people who have mentioned in their books reports of having this book with them. So for example, like imagine, let's say for example, there is a particular tafsir or a particular hadith book or a particular fiqh book. So someone in history says, I had a copy of this fiqh book and it had this particular thing written on it. And this particular manuscript is the one that's written by so and so. So there were so much details regarding the existence of this manuscript and the details given about it, that if you find it and it fits those details, then that means that this is an original manuscript. And then you cross-reference this manuscript with other manuscripts, and then you try to find out, like if there's about 20 manuscripts, you try to read each one, the same paragraph in each one, and to see if there's any discrepancies between them. So it's a very, very sort of like investigative sort of like science, you can say, and it's very rigorous, right? The people who are involved in this, painstakingly have to go through so many manuscripts and so much different type of handwritings to try and see this. And the other thing is, we have like some books which are passed down through with so many people have passed it down, that it's undeniable that this book is from the author. Everyone agrees from the author because so many people have passed it down over the years. Okay, what is the best argument for ijaz of the Quran? Okay, ijaz of the Quran, this is a very big topic. I mean, personally, I think it's a very big topic, and I don't think this is a topic that can easily be explained to someone who doesn't have a good background in Arabic language, especially with nahu and sarf and balagha and adab al-Arabi. I think that's the kind of key to understanding how ijaz works. Imam al-Baqillani, there's a book I used to have over here. It wasn't mine, but I had to give it back. It's gone now. It's called Al-Ijaz al-Quran by Imam Abu Bakr Baqillani. He mentions about 13 different opinions about the ijaz of the Quran. So it's a very detailed sort of like thing, and there are so many kind of like aspects to take into consideration when you look at the ijaz. For those who don't know, the ijaz of the Quran is something which is related to the nature of the Quran to be unreplicated or non-replicated by human beings. Yeah, so in other words, humans cannot replicate the Quran. They can't write a Quran like how the Quran's been written. So I'm not saying like you take some verse of the Quran, switch some words around, and you come up with your own version of Fatiha. No, you actually, with all of the things, right, the resources that you have, you try to come out with a Quran that's better than Quran. Now, what does that mean? That's a very sort of like long discussion there. So maybe I might make a video on it, a crash course. Maybe I might do a crash course on it, just to show the different aspects of it and how scholars dealt with this. If someone is doing qada of fajr and is giving azan for it during dhuhr, should they include as-salatu khayrun min an-nawm? If someone is given azan, qada of fajr, and is given azan for it during dhuhr, should they include as-salah khayrun min? I'm not sure, I haven't really found anyone mentioning this. I would assume no. Yeah, I would assume no. They wouldn't, because that statement, as-salat khayrun min an-nawm, is actually for people who are asleep, and because there's no one asleep, then that particular, and the aim of azan is always to just tell people. But I don't know if there's some people who say that you do say it because it's the way that the qada is done. Yeah, maybe. If as an imam a person feels some urine coming out of his private part, at what point should he break the salat? I.e., should he break his salat only after feeling the wetness, as that's when he is definitely sure it has exited the private parts? If he breaks the salat before, then what happens? Yeah, so imam should only break his salat when he feels wetness. So if he feels wetness, 100% he feels wetness, then he should break his salat. But if he doesn't feel wetness or he's in doubt, then he carries on his salat. Okay, how should we view usul in the Quran? View usul in the Quran and Hadith. The language of the Quran is directed to all people and isn't a legal document per se. So is it not natural way of deducing rulings as opposed to saying this is khas, so it means such? Okay, so basically, this concept of usul, usul is basically principles, right? So for instance, like let's say I gave you the highway code. I gave you the highway code, and I said to you, okay, I want you to take the highway code and I want you to take out from there some things that you've learned from there, some like general sort of universal principles that you learned from there, how this book was written, how the chapters are organized, what kind of wording they use in the highway code, how many times a particular word has been used, etc., etc. Now if you do that, right, now this would be something that only someone who was very keen in this book, right, could see a structure, like could see this kind of universal kind of rules. An average person wouldn't be able to see these unless you pointed them out to him. Similarly, when it comes to Quran, it's the book of Allah, and Allah would never write a book that was unorganized. He would never write a book, he would never reveal a book that is unorganized. He would never reveal a book that has no structure to it, that has no systematic approach to it. There's no like blueprint of how things work and rules and all of these. Allah would never reveal a book like that, because this is the nature of how communication works. Communication works with consistency. It works with principles. Now these principles, this consistency throughout the book cannot be seen by a person who doesn't have enough familiarity with the book, right, with the language. So that's why, for instance, the early Sahaba, we don't see them discussing usul points, because they knew the book so well. It was their language and it was so obvious to them. They didn't need to be told that there are these principles, underlying principles. So this is why like usul is needed by later people. In other words, people who are looking retrospectively now at how the Quran was understood by the early years, because that's what we want. Language is always devolving, you can say, or changing, whatever you want to call it. So this is why we need the usul for scholars to be able to understand how. Yes, average layperson can read the Quran. Yeah, they can understand general principle, general like statements in the Quran, what Allah is saying, but they can't understand intricacies. Intricacies require expert help to point them out. Right? That's how we need experts to point out. Experts of the language can point these things out. Like for example, if I say to you, look, like in English, like I speak English, I'm born and brought up speaking English now. Now, if there's a person whose native language is not English, and for example, in English, let's say there's something that we say that, if I say something like, get out of here, what? Get out of here. Now, if I say to you, what? Get out of here. Now, if someone who's learned the English language and it says, get out of here, okay, what does that mean? Get out, shall I really get out? Like, why is he saying get out of here? What does that mean? How is that used? When is that used? So this is like a figurative statement. So I would say it just means like get out of here means like it's just a way I say things when I'm amazed at what you said. I'm astonished. I find it hard to believe. It's something I say, get out of here. Right? But then for me to try and explain it to someone, I'd have to know more about my own language. I'd have to know how the language works to be able to explain it to people. I go, okay, well, in the English language, sometimes we say sentences like this, and sometimes we say sentences like this. So this is why usul basically can only be identified by people who are really engaged in their language, who understand like the intricacies of their language, and they can point it out to foreigners. Oh, guys, this is how our language works. Like for example, someone in primary school, a teenager in secondary school, right, and a PhD in English language can't be the same. The PhD in English language understands the richness of the English language so much more than the student in school, and he can always teach them all new things about the language. I don't know, hope that explains. All right. Next. How should usul be looked at in hadith with linguistic aspects, since there's a possibility of riwayah ma'na? Yes. In fact, most hadith are riwayah ma'na. Right? Most hadith are riwayah ma'na. That's why the Hanafis generally use the usul in the Quran. So if you ever read Hanafi usul books, they say bahthul kitab. This is the section on discussing the book, the Quran, and then they'll discuss am, khas, mushtarak, mu'awwal. So primarily these discussions were for the Quran, this was, and then it was secondary for hadith. But because hadith are generally hadith bil ma'na, many of the scholars have just said a lot of these discussions in the Hadith text aren't really the same as the Quran discussions. Okay, is learning tajweed fard? Being able to pronounce enough Quran correctly so that you can pray your salat is fard. So for example, like I would say Fatiha is obviously, and maybe another surah with it, right? That's like fard. You have to learn how to pronounce that correctly and read it. That's it. That's fard. Besides that, not fard. Yeah, but obviously a person would aspire to learn how to read the whole Quran. Okay, I think I've answered all the questions. Alhamdulillah. Okay, another question. Is it permitted to play chess? So is it permitted to play chess? Short answer, yes. Long answer, there's ikhtilaf amongst early scholars. And I mentioned this several times. This is the whole philosophy of society's interaction with sports and games. So the way society behaves and reacts to games and sports has evolved over the years. The way the role that games and these sports played in the early years, thousands of years ago, and how they've now developed, and now in today's society, like you can have like a professional doctor, you can have a professional gamer, right? And a gamer might be earning more than the doctor, and it's something that's skilled, and there's lots of funding behind it, and lots of like training and all sorts of things. So yeah, so you can generally the 3 rules that the Hanafis mention regarding playing games, as long as there's no gambling involved, as long as you don't you don't leave out your obligatory rights in Islam, and as long as there's no lying and cheating and other things like that involved. Okay, is watching boxing permitted? The thing with boxing is the issue with the aura, right? That's the first main thing. That's a big problem with the aura. Okay, there might be ikhtilaf among some scholars. Some scholars might say, the whole of the thigh is not the aura. Okay, then the other problem is the violent nature of this game. What I would say is it's best not to watch, because of these 2 issues, the aura issue and because of the violent beating. In that sense, I would say it's best not to watch, just to try and stay out of the ikhtilaf. Although there is scope for it, participating in it is obviously a different thing. Is it permitted to go to a mixed swimming pool? I would say that it depends. Yeah, it depends. If it's a place where people are not going to be walking out and you're going to be seeing people naked, and you can turn your gaze away, then there's scope for it. But if it's going to be in a situation where you are going to clearly see naked people, and you can't avoid them, then I would say you shouldn't go. No. Any tips on learning spoken Arabic with a teacher and applying Nahw and Sarf rules? Yeah, just speak as much as you can. Yeah, so speak as much as you can, learn as much as you can. Every single day, at least try to speak 10-15 minutes in Arabic with someone. And with Arabic Nahw and Sarf, I wouldn't focus too much on Arabic Nahw and Sarf when you're speaking. Speaking should never be done according to what you learn in Nahw and Sarf. Speaking should always be done according to listening and repeating, right, and trying to conjugate sentences in your own mind. That's the best thing. I mean, speaking, right, should be done in that way. I don't think anyone learns a language naturally by thinking of the grammar rules, unless you get those 1 or 2 clever clogs and they're kind of sitting there and trying to say a sentence to you and trying to structure it exactly. But people don't generally do that. I know madrasa students, a lot of them do in that way. They'll be sitting there and they'll be saying things like أنا يذهب يذهبان يذهبون تذهب تذهبان يذهبن أذهب. Yeah, and I used to do that as well when I first started. But I don't believe that's the best way to learn a language. The best way to learn a language is repeat. And that's what I do with the students that I teach. I get every single day, 5 days a week, I teach them. And the first 15 minutes, 20 minutes of the lesson, I just get them speaking to each other, change partners, speak to each other, try to you come out with sentences that they've heard, try to come out with sentences, try to make them memorize phrases, and it works efficiently. Very, very good. Okay, experts say women are not allowed to shake head whilst doing dhikr. I have no idea. I don't know. Maybe their plaits will come loose or something, or the pins in their scarf will come loose. I don't know. Who are these experts? I don't know. All I know is best. Okay, I think those questions are done. Okay, let's try to answer the questions that are on this list now. Right, so let's see who's here today. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Okay, Sister Sabina is saying, brother, I follow the commands of Allah for some days, but then again start following Satan. Please help me how to remain constant with my religion. Okay, so remember, guys, we are not going to remain constant on our iman, our faith. It's going to fluctuate, right? So sometimes our iman is going to be strong, sometimes it's going to be weak. You know, you're going to get these kind of things. So I would say take it day by day. Day by day, take it day by day. If you commit any sins, turn back to Allah, ask Allah forgiveness, give charity every day, pray your salat every day, and inshallah, you know, some days will be good, some days will be a bit bad, and it's just gonna fluctuate like that. Why there is no Hamza in Bismillah, but there is Iqra Bismi Rabbika Ladhi Khalaq? This is because, I mean, Uthman radiallahu anhu, when he commissioned the writing of the Quran in the font, that's how they wrote it. Because that's how they wrote it, we just say, well, we just stick to that. We don't exactly know 100% why it was written without the alif. And some say that it was actually some dialects of the Arabs. They didn't used to have an alif on there if they joined it together. Okay. Khan, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Why now? I'm sure Mufti Sahab, if you asked your cat, she'd love to have a Pakistani name. Cats are known to have very good taste. I don't know. I mean, the last time I asked her, she tried to scratch me. Imtiaz Chaudhary, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. I know this is an embarrassing question, but do men have to shave their backsides? Is it compulsory? Yes. So cleaning the private area, the area that you have to clean basically is like this. If you sit down, like squatting, have any of you guys been on a squatting toilet? Well, if you squat on a toilet, that natural V shape that's created, that natural V shape, it's like the bikini line shape, they call it. That's the area that you have to, is fard to clean. The rest of it you don't have to clean, but it's recommended to clean the rest of it. So around the scrotum, between the thighs, between the buttocks, that's recommended to clean, highly recommended. But the fard part of the cleaning is the area, the hair, which is in that kind of V shape area. Okay, Baraka alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. If Isha becomes Qadha at 12 a.m. and the person starts Isha at 11:59 p.m., is it still considered Qadha? Apologies for the... No, it's not a dumb question. According to Hanafis, Isha becomes Qadha when Fajr starts. So as soon as Fajr starts, Isha becomes Qadha. This is according to the Hanafis. Shafis have a different opinion. They use the midnight as the last time you can pray your Fajr. So according to Hanafis, if your Isha is prayed 1 minute before Fajr and then the rest of the Isha is prayed as soon as Fajr starts, then you gotta do Qadha of Isha. Right, Fajr, Isha is not done. Okay, why now? My auntie has been unwell for about 2 years now and hasn't been able to fast. We are not sure when or if she will be well enough to do so. What are we meant to do in such a situation? Okay, so what you can do, what I would suggest you do is you get a bottle and you put Fidya in there. So the money, for example, like for the year, the past fast that she hasn't fasted, put money into that. Now, if, for example, like she had a situation deteriorates and the doctors say she'll never be able to fast again, give that money to feed the poor, right? And then when you give that, khalas, is done. I think that would be the best way. Okay, Omar Yusuf, alaikum assalam. What is the ruling for men plucking the hair between the eyebrows? Okay, it's fine, totally fine. Yeah, you can do it. Sayyida Hussein, any tips on learning spoken Arabic with a teacher and applying Nahu and Sarf rules? Yes, I think that was the same question, I think. So I answered that one. You just need to speak a lot every day. Speak to someone, get in contact. There's loads of people you can probably find in Arab countries who might have to pay them a bit, but they'll give you some time maybe every day just to speak a little bit. Why now? If our family members have our pictures before we started wearing hijabs, are we obliged to ask them to destroy them? We don't have to ask them to destroy them, but we should ask them not to show them to other people. Yeah. Okay. Arnud, is it Arnud? I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong anyway. Arnud. If you put a band-aid into a small damaged part that bleeds, is your hand, for example, does this make you sahib uzr? According to Hanafis, basically, if you got the bandage and the bandage is not, like the blood is not coming out from the bandage on the other side, then you're not sahib udhr. But if it keeps coming out, then you're sahib udhr. So if you've got a bandage and it comes out and it's actually seeping out from the other end, then yeah, sahib udhr. Which Arabic poems would you recommend one to memorize as an intermediate student of knowledge? I would say start with something like, Imam Shafi. Imam Shafi's poems are very kind of easy flowing ones. You can read those. There's a guy called Shawqi Daif, Ahmad Shawqi. Yeah, he's very good as well. He's a contemporary who was in the last century, was alive. He's a very good. And there's some like nursery rhyme ones that you can get. I came across some websites and they had those on there, so you can learn those. But yeah, Imam Shafi ones are very easy. They're filled with like wisdom and stuff like that. Which questions is Ustad? Some questions I can't see. Okay, what reading books do you recommend to improve? Yeah, so some of the questions are asked on Curious Cat. So I have Curious Cat that some people send the questions onto, and they ask them there if they don't want their names to be shown. Okay, what reading books do you recommend to improve Arabic after doing Qasas al-Nabiyyin? So if you've done all the volumes of Qasas al-Nabiyyin, even the last one, the Sirah one, then what I would suggest is read Mukhtarat. There's a book called Mukhtarat by Nadawi as well. So if you Google Abu Hassan Nadawi, he's got a website and he's got loads of books in there, and his Mukhtarat are very good to follow. So Mukhtarat, or number 2, Ali Tantawi. Mukhtarat or Ali Tantawi, these are the two books I would recommend. Okay, I am completely confused that's what we were taught in our tafsir class, that the ayah about no soul being burdened with more than they can bear meant. Can you please explain more? Yeah, so the ayah to do with La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha, I haven't found any mufassir that said that it's to do with life. It's to do with the rules of Islam. Because look, imagine there's someone that was kidnapped, that was tortured, that was murdered, right? And then you say to them, Allah will never burden a person more than they can take. Now, well, this guy is obviously gone against this ayah then. And imagine there's a person who's going through so much problems in life and unfortunately they've committed suicide because they can't bear it anymore. Then does that mean that Allah burdened them in life more than they can bear? Well, the ayah doesn't mean that. The ayah means La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha. Allah will never burden a person in religion, in religious matters. Like Allah will never tell a human being to do something which is beyond their capacity. Like if you can't stand, Allah will never force you to stand. Allah will never instruct you, you have to stand. He says sit down and pray, or lie down and pray. If you can't fast, Allah will never force you to fast. Allah will always come out with another ruling like, okay, give Fidya. That's what it means. Okay, DM Hussein, is it necessary for me to learn how to read Quran Arabic without knowing how to speak? You understand it? So like I said in the Curious Cat, I said you have to know how much to read in Salat. That's fard. Yeah, besides that, after that, it's not fard. Okay, shaking head. Some experts say women should not do it. Why? I have no idea. Is it better to go university after college, or should I do full-time Alimiya? Is it better to go university after college? That's the question I'm going to ask you. Yeah, you tell me. Studying Alimiya is not necessary. Yeah, in fact, sometimes last week I was saying to some students, I told them, look, it's not necessary to study Alimiya course by. If you want to go and get yourself a job and become an accountant or become a taxi driver or you become, prime minister of the country, go for it. It's not necessary to become a scholar. It's not necessary to study Alimiya course. In fact, it's not even necessary to learn Arabic at that level. Yes, it's a good thing to do. It's highly rewarding to do. Highly recommended for a person to do it. Right? So for some people, going university, I recommend they go university. I say to them, what are you more into? And I would say go university. And then after that, if you're interested in studying the Alim course, study later. And some people I would say, no, you're very bright, you're very sharp, and I think you should study the Alimiya course. And then, yeah. It's all up to you. I mean, it depends. What are you into? What do you want? Why now? This is a silly question, but I was wondering, can I put soap on my face and then start wudu? So washing face as part of wudu would also soap. Yes. So according to Hanafis, you can do that totally, right? So in other words, remember, according to Hanafis, the idea is to get water, to wet your face with water, your arms, wipe your head and your feet. If you do other things whilst you're doing that, like you're using soaps or you're using, toothbrush or toothpaste or other stuff like that, totally fine. Yeah, totally fine. Wa alaikum assalam, Sister Valerie. Muhammad Abdullah, wa alaikum assalam. What motivates you to keep knowledge as accessible as possible when we live in a world where some scholars are charging a high premium for knowledge? What motivates me? So basically, alhamdulillah, I've got, I started a Patreon, and I've got amazing patrons that, mashallah, are supporting me and helping my channel. And I've also got a team of people that are helping me with, other projects as well. I keep mentioning to you guys the 17 lessons that we run, which much is pre-recorded lessons, and then we have TAs that are doing amazing work, alhamdulillah. Without them, it would never be able to be done. I always make dua for them. And so, because of these people that are supporting the channel, I'm able to produce this content, right? And I don't charge for the content at all. Why do people charge for it? It could be for different reasons. Scholars, some of them are living in countries where they have to pay big bills. Sometimes behind the scenes, you don't know how much money goes into it. Like, for example, some of my videos I make, I have to get editors involved. I have to pay an editor to do my videos, or some of my videos. I have to buy software. Monthly I have to pay an annual fee for certain types of software, certain types of footage, equipment, stuff. So much things that you gotta pay for. So sometimes what happens is people assume that, look, scholars should do the religion for free. But then the problem is, okay, I would agree to that if only some people would come together and pay for all the scholar's expenses, pay for the scholar's car, pay for his house, pay for his bills, his family's tuition fees, the food that he's put on the table, pay for all of that, right? And every time he has to go to hospital and pay for the hospital fees, pay for all of that, and I guarantee you the scholar will be able to teach for free, right? But who wants to do that? So in the past, what used to happen was the government used to do this. The government used to pay for all the scholar's expenditure, and he could easily, happily just teach for free in a masjid or in a university or a madrasa. But now we don't have that. So now it's like the scholar has a choice, has a problem now. He wants to buy a house, and he's not getting paid for teaching the deen. So what should he do? So he's going to become a taxi driver, or he's going to become, I don't know, a shop owner, or he's going to become school teacher or something, just so that he can earn money, so that he can buy himself a house, pay his family, get married, have children, etc. So these are the things we have to take into consideration. So Allah knows best why the people would demand high premium knowledge. Okay, DM Hussein, how do I apply for Islamic University of Medina? How can I get admission? I have no idea. If anyone here knows how to get access to, please help brother DM Hussein. Okay, next question. Let's see. Okay, Ridwan Mia. I'm studying Medina book 1. After finishing the next 2 books, what should I study? My main purpose to understand the Quran and Hadith when I read or recite. Okay, so then after that, what I would suggest is that you start studying, for example, like a book, a tafsir book, right? So start studying a tafsir book with a teacher, so that you can implement what you've learned in Arabic into the book. Because the whole point of the teacher is a guide. He's guiding you how to read texts and understand them. So next thing you need to do is study tafsir with the teacher, or study hadith with the teacher. Next, Manfado. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What's the ruling of seeing or touching your wife's face after death? According to Hanafis, not allowed to touch. Seeing is permissible, but touching is not allowed, because now the marriage is ended. But other madhabs, they allow it. Is there any other better Islamic university that I can attend so I can learn Arabic and study, become ulama, sheikh? There are loads. You can go to Egypt, you can go to Jordan, you can go to Turkey, you can go to Morocco, you can study in places in UK. Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're comfortable with Islamic University of Medina, then why not go for it? Valerie, subhanallah, FIFA, who are the Sabians mentioned alongside Jews in the... Who are the Sabians mentioned? So the Sabians that are mentioned in the Quran, the Sabi'een, Allah says, Inna ladina amanu walladina hadu wan nasara was Sabi'ina, the Sabi'in. This is an ikhtilafi issue. Some of the scholars were on the opinion that this was like a like a true sect of the Banu Israel. And some said no, they actually anyone who believes in monotheism, like oneness of God. So there's a difference of opinion. DM Hussein, what is the difference between ulama and mufti? So ulama simply just means someone who knows, and mufti means someone who is able to answer like fiqh related questions, right? So for example, like questions related to salat and wudu and zakat and hajj and these kind of things. That's a mufti basically. He does a particular course and it's called a mufti. So like you have doctors, and then you have consultants, and you have specialist doctors, right? And you have surgeons. So you have, all of them are doctors, but then you have specializers. So ones who specialize are called the muftis. Okay, yeah, tafsir, more of those inshallah. Okay, mufti is a scholar. Okay, do you get punished if you miss a prayer? If you deliberately miss a prayer without a reason, then it comes in a hadith that anyone who misses a prayer or combines the prayers, that misses their prayers and prays other salats together without a reason, has attained one of the doors of a major sin. Because if you think about it, Allah is telling you pray, and you're saying, oh Allah, I can't be bothered. So if you are deliberately ignoring Allah's command, then you are going against Him, which is a sin. But if you have an excuse, for example, like you didn't wake up in the morning, you missed your fajr, or you were caught in traffic and you couldn't get out of it, or something like that, then you inshallah you won't be hella sinful. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Fun. How is Kitty? Kitty is very good. Jazakallah khair. Kamran. Wa alaikum assalam. What's the proper way to perform sujood sahu? So according to Hanafis, the proper way to perform sajda sahu is basically when you recite at-tahiyatullahi wa salawatu, and you read it all to the end. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. You give salam on one side, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. You do two sajdas, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, and then you read at-tahiyat, and then you finish off, and then assalamu alaikum, assalamu alaikum. That's how you do it. That's the proper way according to Hanafis. Okay, Baraka Mujtaba. Okay, Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah khair, Ustad. You're welcome, Kamran. Is it true if you have photos in the house, angels will not enter? There's a hadith where the Prophet said that an angel do not enter a house in which there are the dogs, or where there are tasawir. So what does this mean exactly? So the scholars say this means an image which is put up to revere that image, honor that image like a god. But if you have an image which is not honored like a god in that way, then the ruling wouldn't fall under that. Because we have narrations from Aisha radiallahu anha that she put up these curtains that had these kind of like horse shapes on the horses. And the Prophet ﷺ came home and he said, what's this? And to take it down, make it into pillows. So because it was made into pillows, it was allowed. Same pictures, but as pillows, they're allowed because they were not being shown as being honored. Okay, okay, Baraka, can you lie for the sake of betterment, or technically lie, e.g. Going to the masjid, you tell your parents go outside of the masjid and back, but you're actually going inside? You tell your parents you go to the outside of the masjid and back, but you're actually going inside. I mean, no, you can't lie. No, Islam, not allowed to lie. Lying is the worst thing you can do. You do not lie. The only situation that you would lie is if your life's in danger. So your parents got like a shotgun to your head. Otherwise, no. Okay, Sayyida, what is the best way of applying harakats to text and being fast at it? So there's two ways I would say. First of all is whatever rules you learn, try to do as many examples as you can. Yeah, so like I've done some videos. If you go to my YouTube channel, I've done like videos on Surah Yusuf. I've done it on some books of Sheikh Abul Hasan Nadawi, and I've done harakat on there as well. The second thing you have to do is get yourself someone who knows Arabic very well, reading, and ask them if you can read to them and they correct you. Right, do that. These two ways you will improve. Yeah, the first one, you've got to put a lot of effort in, a lot of preparation, find words, find why the ruling is. Yeah. Okay, Sister Nuria Khan, any advice on balancing secular education with final year Alimiya studies? What I would say is just try your best. That's all I can say. Try your best, work hard. Remember, look, Alimiya studies is important as, if not more important than your secular studies, because alimiya studies is to do with your betterment of your iman, preservation of the deen for this dunya and the akhirah, whereas secular education would be only for this dunya. But not to say that secular education is not important. You obviously need to earn, and you obviously need maybe some other issue. So yeah, what I would say is try to focus on both of them. Give each one their due time. Divide your times so that you can apply the times in the best way possible. And make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ask Allah. MP, wa alaikum assalam. Alhamdulillah, MP, I'm very good. How are you? I don't know what else to say, man. Yeah, I'm very good. Alhamdulillah, as you can see. They're saying, if a Muslim becomes an apostate, would their good sins all go, e.g. performing Hajj? What book can I get the reference in Arabic and English? Yes, so in the tafsirs, so if you read Ma'arif al-Quran, there is a verse in the Quran. I don't know the exact number of the verse of the surah, but Allah says that إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا ثُمَّ مَاتُوا وَهُمْ كُفَّارٌ. Indeed, those who disbelieved and they died whilst they were in disbelief, أُولَٰئِكَ حَبِطَتْ أَعْمَالُهُم. Those are the ones whose actions have been wasted. Check under that verse and you can see the ikhtilaf of the scholars regarding this. Yeah, I don't know if anyone knows this verse, the number, and put it in the comments and help. Actually, you know what, I can just quickly just check in here. Yeah, because I've got these apps. What are these apps for then? وَمَاتُوا وَهُمْ كُفَّارٌ. Okay, so Surah Baqarah, verse 161. Surah Baqarah, verse 161. Check that. Ma'arif al-Quran. Okay, FIFA, how do you reconcile no compulsion in religion, free will, and killing of apostates? So, no compulsion in religion means that inside the religion there is no compulsion. La ikraha fi din, meaning no compulsion of becoming a Muslim. La ikraha fi din, meaning la ikraha fi qabul ad-din. As for a person who is in the deen, now this whole topic of obviously a person becoming apostate and then leaving Islam and all of that kind of thing, this is a whole issue in itself, a big discussion about this. But that's what the ayah means. And therefore this ayah does not mean that if you're a Muslim that you can freely leave Islam if you want. Is it allowed for a man to have a vasectomy if they have had a few kids and they don't want any more, so then the wife wouldn't need to be on the birth control for years and he is around 35, 40? It all depends on the reason for it. Like if it's becoming too much for the family to handle having kids or stuff like that, then maybe the scope for it. But otherwise, a permanent form of contraception is something which the scholars say is not allowed, because Sahaba asked the Prophet ﷺ if they couldn't be castrated, and he said no. Yeah. But I mean, there are other, obviously, I mean, it all depends upon the situation the family is in. Every family could have a different situation. And there are other forms of contraception as well that maybe the woman can take, might be useful. Okay, Imtiaz Chaudhry, I want to know the stomach of a woman is aura, but if a woman is pregnant, can she show her scan pictures to ghair mahrams, or does this fall in the... Yeah, so the aura would be the outer part, the outer. So the inside of the body would not be aura. Yeah, so we would say that the outer part would be the aura. So the inside would actually just be from inside the body. Jazakallah khair for answering the questions. It was very helpful always. Please show us a book before we finish, inshallah. Okay, are we allowed to give money towards Christmas decorations at work? Also, what about money towards Secret Santa presents? Could be alcohol or other haram items. These kind of questions, I think with issues regarding Christmas and things like that. Look, if a person is going to be contributing towards the Christmas itself and the celebration, I would say avoid. As a Muslim, we just sometimes we have to put our foot down and just say, this is my principles of my faith, right? I don't agree. I totally disagree with the principles upon which this Christmas is being celebrated, and just say please respect it from me in that sense. But I mean, I don't know. This is something which I personally feel, but maybe someone else might have a different view on this. But that's what my view would be. I wouldn't say that it's 100% haram to do that, but I would say as a Muslim, as a person who believes in oneness of Allah, having a son with Allah and all these kind of things is something which a person should not celebrate, or should not even encourage the celebration of this thing. There are some people who just clearly tell people, look, I don't believe in these kind of things, right? If you want to have a party another time or something, then I'll join you, but these kind of things I take it very sacred. Assalamu alaikum, what level of politics should we be involved in, seeing all the restrictions that seem to pass in many countries is anti-hijab, anti-Muslim in general? What sort of politics? I don't know. Politics, I'm not sure. I mean, it's all difficult now because we obviously should stand up for the rights of people, right? And we should lobby, yeah. But I don't exactly know what it means to be active in politics. Muslims obviously should know what's happening in the country, but does every single Muslim have an obligation to speak up against the atrocities that are happening, or should they have an organization that speaks on their behalf? These are things to think about. Lobbying groups we need. Wa alaikum assalam, Omar. The fun. Alaikum assalam. You give me tips on how to memorize surahs quickly as I want to memorize. Yes. So just keep going over the ayats again and again and again. That's the best thing I can do. I'm not Hafiz, so I wouldn't be able to help you there. If anyone's Hafiz, maybe you can help. Fun. If I go to my mum's house or visit my mum's, you should do a short series on harf. On harf? Didn't comment on the history of madhab's video, but I would like to say I really enjoyed them. Some feedback. Jazakallah khair. Yeah, so I'm going to be making more. I've done a whole course, few courses on the evolution of fiqh, which I'm planning on in maybe next year sometime, organizing it and then doing videos on it in a similar way, which is going through systematically through the time of the Prophet ﷺ all the way to the madhabs, how they developed and how things were introduced in sciences, various sciences in fiqh studies. That's the aim, which is going to be lots of videos then. I mean, we're looking at something like well over maybe 40-50 videos like that. So it's going to be very long, that's the thing. And I know a lot of people get burnt out after the first few videos. This is the nature of people. They get burnt out. There's going to be some keen ones that will go through the whole thing. But yeah, that's the idea. So Jazakallah khair for the feedback. Yeah, keep the feedback coming, guys. Keep feedback. Good feedback, bad feedback, inshallah. Okay, and next, as some say we should cover our hair as angels won't come into the house. Is there a reference for this? Yeah, I've never heard of this before. Yeah, this is one of those auntie things, I think. If I go to a mum's house in Birmingham and I live in Manchester, can I combine prayers? According to Hanafis, no. Is it true that Adam a.s. came down in India? Wallahu alam. I don't know. If you could write on an A3 blank paper instead of write in bigger writing, because sometimes the writing looks small and blurred as I watch on phone. Okay, yeah. Does anyone else have this problem? I mean, if any of you guys have any other issues that you have with those crash course videos, yeah, I think the A3 ones. The problem is the table that I use and all of that kind of thing. Yeah, that's one of the issues. Okay, I'll have to get some A3 paper, I think, and write on that. So, and I might have to zoom in a bit more, I think. Okay, but let me know if you guys give me feedback, then I know how to improve the videos, just like this. I'm good. Diarrhea all gone. Alhamdulillah. Ya Allah. Our du'as came true. Okay, Jazakallah khair for all the answers. Worth the wait. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. You're welcome. Innal ladhina kafaru wa matu wa hum kuffar. Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much for finding it. Is it too late to become a Hafiz if you are over 18 and my parents want me to be an alim first? No, you can become I know many people that become Hafiz over the age of 40. SMB, it's never too late. Would Ustad be doing a series on Fawzul Kabir? Yes, inshallah, I'm doing a series on Fawzul Kabir. I've started the first one. If you guys have seen it. So inshallah, we'll be going through it. What was the answer? The scan because it's not awra. That's correct. Okay, Zakaria, alaikum salam. Are you qualified to give fatwa according to Hanafi madhabs? And what are the conditions of? So, am I qualified to give fatwa? So, basically, I studied 8 years of alim course, and then after 8 years, I did 1 year in training for ifta. So, technically, I am trained to be able to give fatwa. However, like I obviously have a long way to go to be able to become like a proper fully qualified mufti. I mean, I would say at least 30-40 years before I can become a fully qualified mufti, because it requires a lot of research, it requires a lot of understanding. But yeah, that's if that answers your question. The inside of the body is not considered aura. So okay, do you think the day of judgment will happen in this century as many signs are happening right now? I don't know, Allah knows best. A series on looking at the tajweed side of the Quran, i.e. when to pause and stop and continue. Okay, I'm sure a lot of people have done that. The thing is, I personally am not too well trained in tajweed. Yeah, I'm not too well trained in tajweed. There's people out there who are much more qualified than me in tajweed. I do the Qurans. If you look at the learn how to read the Quran series, but higher level tajweed is something which I'm not trained in. I have been combining prayers at my mum's house for years. Do I need to make? I mean, according to the Shafis, is fine. That would be fine. Wouldn't be any issue. So you wouldn't have to repeat them. When would the Fawzul Kabir be live? I've done one, so I just do whenever I can do one. I do and I put it up. So if you go on my YouTube channel and you check in the playlists, you should find one for Fawzul Kabir. How long does it take to become mufti? To become a mufti, like I said, 30, 40, 50 years to become a proper mufti. But to do the kind of like the access course for the mufti, it's like 1 year, you can do it 2 years, 3 years. It kind of gives you the know-how of where to look to try and find answers. Are married couple allowed to delay having children for financial reasons? Some scholars say not allowed because yes, they can. Yeah, according to Hanafis, you can you can do contraception, you can delay having a child. It's permissible. Yeah, as long as husband and wife are both happy with it, yeah, then it's fine. It has to be like a sort of like bilateral agreement. It's fine according to Hanafis. And there doesn't really have to be a serious reason. Fine. So I think you are the best Islamic teacher due to your teaching style. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, jazakallah khair. Do you like fast food? I like slow food, fast food, medium food. Yeah, I like fast food. Do you like fast food, Kamran? Ever thought about setting up a Discord server or something to the effect of interact with your viewers? A Discord server, what's that? I don't know what that is. So is that some sort of a some device or some software? Mufti Menk is 40 years old. Look, let me be a bit frank here, right? Most people who call themselves muftis in the world are not real muftis. As in, they're like training doctors. Does that make sense? Like a true, proper, full kind of consultant kind of doctor, it takes years to become one. Everyone else in between is like training. Now, because they're training, it doesn't mean they're not going to be answering people's questions. Yes, they are. But they're not at the highest level of being a mufti. Meaning that if a question which has no precedence in the Quran or Sunnah or in the early books, and they have to come out with an answer, not everyone can do that. There's only like a handful of people around the world who are very skilled at that. So Mufti Menk, he's known as being a mufti. People call me mufti. But it's more like he is good at giving talks and stuff like that. I don't think he is at the level of, of fatwa like, Sheikh Yusuf Qardawi or like Mufti Taqi Usmani or Sheikh Nizam Yaqubi, these kind of people. Allah knows best. Okay, soon I will be learning all 40 hadith. MashaAllah, excellent, very good. I really like your teaching style, but I might have to leave so far next year because it's too far for me. So may Allah make it easy for you. Whichever place you study at, whatever's easy, then alhamdulillah is something which is good. but try to obviously continue your studies wherever you go, inshallah. May Allah make it easy for you. Jazakallah khair for all the answers. You're welcome. If a man is allowed to pluck the middle part of the eyebrows, can a woman? Yes, a woman can do the same as well. Yep, totally. Okay, let's see. There's a few more questions here on the Curious Cat, and then I think we'll call it a day. Okay, I think I've answered these ones. Yeah, experts say women are not allowed to shake their heads. If a Muslim becomes apostate, would this good deeds? I think I answered that one. Please answer. Yeah, so answer these ones. Alright, so Jazakumullah khair. Thank you very much, guys, for watching this and keeping me company as well, mashallah. And inshallah, if you guys have anything to add as well in the comments, you can put it in there as well. Okay, I never knew men can pluck their eyebrows. Yes, in the middle. So technically men can even pluck eyebrows, but the thing is that the Hanafis say they can't make their eyebrows like effeminate. Like they can't like shape them so much that they look like women's eyebrows. Yeah, they can't do that. That's something which is disliked. Okay, and by the way, I'm very sad as I keep reminding myself of my cousin who was very young and passed away. May Allah give him Jannat al-Firdaus. May Allah make it easy for you as well. Amina is missing today. Okay, no, I think she's there with, but I think with the different. Okay, Sharif, assalamu alaikum. Inshallah, maybe you can do a series on Sirah to help us. That shahada kind of love for our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, inshallah, yeah. Sirah is a good one. Yeah, if a person is burnt out in studying, but Allah opens up another opportunity, should they go for it? Yes, they should go for it. Yeah, you don't have to. It's not far to study, but sometimes you might need to take time out of studying. Some people, I'll tell you, they become spiritually enlightened or academically enlightened at different times in their life. Some people might be academically enlightened in their teens, some in their 20s, some in their 30s, some in their 40s even. Some people are forced to study when they're young and they have no interest in studying. They're like just kind of doing it for the sake of it because their parents want them or whatever. And I've seen it so many times, unfortunately, a lot of these like children madrasas, teenagers, where they're forced to study Alimiya course and they have no interest and they push through it and they get out of it and they don't really want to do anything. And then later on in their lives, maybe they get some interest again, they restart studying again. So different people have different things. Main thing I always say is two things. To become a very good scholar, you need to have some passion. You need to have some reason of your own or why you want to study for. And number two is you need to have a good teacher. Yeah, a good teacher who can give you the khulasa, summary, the gist of knowledge is a very important thing. And if you got that, then alhamdulillah, that's one of the best things that you can ever have. And that because sometimes you lose motivation as a student, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you that motivation with a good teacher. Yes, always look for that. Okay, can women thin their eyebrows? There's a difference of opinion amongst Hanafis. Yeah, you can pluck around the eyebrows. Everyone agrees this. You can pluck around the eyebrows as long as you don't make them very thin. That's basically the kind of general opinion on that. Some of the Hanafis have allowed for a woman, if her husband wants her to shape her eyebrows, thin. I've allowed that. Okay, you look tired, brother. Yes, yeah. In the UK, it's almost 11 o'clock at night time. So I've been up since Fajr. I had to give a talk in the morning, and then I had an event to go to, and then I had family, and then I just come on here. What did you eat today? So basically, in the morning I had biryani, and in the afternoon I had samosas, and in the evening I had biryani. Yeah, so that's basically, it's a biryani, one of those biryani days. Yeah, and what did you have, MP? May Allah give you good night's rest. Ameen. Jazakallah khair. Any tips on how not to get distracted? What do you find the hardest thing within the whole Alim and Mufti course? The hardest thing I think is basically trying to stay focused on why you're studying. That's the hardest thing. A lot of students I see, they start with a lot of zeal to study knowledge, but then they just get distracted on the way. They don't know why they're studying, and some people are very easily influenced. They miss lots of days or sorts of things. Always ask Allah for steadfastness, I'd say. Okay, have you ever made brownies? Yes. Actually, I like making cakes and stuff. Well, I used to make lots in the past, but recently I haven't really kind of been into it. But in the past, I used to make loads of stuff, cakes and all these kind of things. Do you have students that you teach? Yes, I have students I teach. I teach in an institute. I teach many students. I teach from morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, all the way till evening. And I teach online. Yeah, I do. Alhamdulillah. Ali Jallo, hi. Say that, would you teach with a group privately through the phone? Would you teach with a group privately through the phone? I don't understand. I mean, like over the phone teaching. I mean, the thing with, for example, like teaching over the phone, I mean, I don't really have an issue with it. The problem is me, when I teach things, I have to show things. So I have to have a screen, I have to have a board, I have to write things on there. And that's how I teach. And I think people need to see ilm. Like knowledge has to be visual for a lot of people, for them to understand how things work. And if it's not visual, then just by listening to it, it's very difficult. Yeah, but over the phone, yeah, why not? Cooking with Ustaz, yeah, why not make a series on me cooking? Wa alaikum assalam. Assalam of live typo. Okay, how do you pick your motivation up when another opportunity comes after having burnt out from studying? Again, I would say, look, if a person's burnt out studying, I would say leave studying for a while. Leave it for a while. Take the other opportunity, and then make dua to Allah that you get the shauq, the kind of zeal to study again. That's what I would say. That's from my experience. How does one become Shaykh or Imam? Yeah, Shaykh Imam just means a name for scholar. I had pasta, mashallah. Was it tomato pasta? Was it tuna pasta? Was it chicken pasta? Keema pasta? What was it? I am currently doing your homework. Acha, mashallah. You're doing my homework here. You better be answering the right questions, otherwise you're gonna get in class SMB. I wanna give you a shout out in class. Okay, do you recommend buying Kitab al-Tawheed just for a general study or analysis of it? Which Kitab al-Tawheed? Who's the author? Do some baking videos. Why not? I mean, yeah, I do everything else. I'll do baking videos. I'll do fixing car videos. I'll do jumping out window videos. Okay, anyway, guys. So I think all the questions are done. Jazakumullah khair. Tomato and red onion pasta. Yeah, that's a good one. That is. Yeah, that's nice. Do you put in the oven? Is it one of the ones that you put in the oven and you melt all the cheese and stuff like that? Yeah, those you can have that. That's a kind of good one as well. Some people don't like that. Some people just like when you kind of make the pasta fresh and then you just mix the two, the kind of like the masala, yeah, together. There's two ways. See, look at that. I'm an expert in different types of cooking pasta. Alright, so I think all your questions are over now. I think it's just, you guys are just telling me to make food. Yeah, pasta bake. That's what it's called, pasta bake. Yeah, for women, it's hard to take a break for studies when one knows after they will get busy. Yeah, that's definitely true. But what I would say, look, a lot of times what happens is that people forget that you can spread out your studying. You can still study, but you can cut down your studies. Yeah, maybe There's a woman, she gets married, or she has children, and then on the side she can study small little things. Yeah, continue her studies, but just do it in smaller sizes of studies. Yeah, so I think that's the best thing to kind of look into, because it's going to be difficult now. I don't know exactly how much you've studied before, how well you know your sciences, your subjects. That all depends. I mean, just check out my YouTube channel. Yeah, I've got lots of stuff on there. Okay, so a book, yeah. You want a book? Let me see which book is good. Okay, this book. Okay, I'll tell you about this book here. So this book is called Fanne Usul Fiqh Ki Tarikh. It's an Urdu book. Now I got this book. It's quite heavy, so it weighs quite a bit. It's not like a normal book. It weighs quite a bit. This does. So I remember getting this. Yeah, this is to show you proof that this is my book. I haven't stole it from anywhere. I used to put my name like that in all my books. Yeah, fancy kind of. I got it from Pakistan. This is. I got it from Urdu Bazaar. So I don't know if any of you guys have ever been to Urdu Bazaar in Karachi. So I got it from Urdu Bazaar. Once I went there in the afternoon, and there's Dar Ishat. There's a book there, bookstore. And I went there, and I was just skimming through the books. There's English section there as well, and there's Urdu section, Arabic section as well. So I was going through the books, and I came across this. So basically, this is a book where the author, Dr. Farooq Hassan Sahib, has gone through the authors of books of Usul Fiqh, or the authors of Usul Fiqh, to whatever degree they were, from the time of Sahaba all the way until today's day. So it's chronologically gone through and just mentioned. Actually, I might use this book just to do a series on Usul Fiqh, just little kind of short synopses on different types of Usul Fiqh books. Yeah, the kind of breakdown of them and names of people, famous individuals in every century. Yeah, so this is a very good book for that. I haven't kind of looked at it for a while now, but yeah, it's in Urdu. That's the thing. Yeah, so if you know Urdu, mashallah. If you don't know Urdu, then inna lillah. And it's also got some good anecdotes and stuff like that. Yeah, very sort of useful, I would say, for your average Usul Fiqh lover. Yeah, that's the book for today, guys. This is it. And I remember this is quite heavy, I don't know how much it weighs, but you know what? It weighs, I think it probably weighs about a kilo. It's one book. Very heavy. Yeah. So, it's written in Pakistan. It's a good book. Yeah, useful. Usul Fiqh. Alright. Next one. What does Islam say about forced marriage? What do you mean by forced marriage? So are you allowed to pray behind gay imams? Good question. I don't pray behind gay imams. So if he's openly gay, saying that I'm gay, then he's fasiq. Then you can't pray behind him. No. Although salat will be correct, it'll be done, but you can't pray behind him. Last question. Have you read Ibn Hisham Sirah? How well does it compare to others if you read it? Ibn Hisham Sirah is very good. The only problem with Ibn Hisham Sirah is, number one, he just brings lots of sanads. So you have to filter through the entire chain just to get to the topic. And then it's not like a flowing Sirah, if you know what I mean. It's not like something like, Martin Ling's. It's flowing, it gives you the whole story and it continues. It's just bits and pieces. It doesn't give you the whole picture. It just gives you bits and pieces related incidents. It's good, yeah. It's one of the good ones where, because he's mentioned chains, you can see the authenticity of the narration. Last question. Have you read Ibn? How many languages do you speak? So I speak English, I speak my mother tongue Pashto, I speak Urdu, and I speak Arabic. So 4 languages I can speak and I can read and all that. Besides that, I understand other side languages. Farsi, I can get through Farsi, but I'm not too fluent in it. Salam Mufti, hope you get this question. Is forex trading halal? It's a very big topic. What I would suggest is go online, go Google, type in forex exchange and write down Mufti Faraz Adam, Mufti Faraz Adam, and just right following. He's got a whole little article on there. And whatever he's written, that's what I agree with. When did you join a Safa? I joined a Safa in 2009. Have you bought any chocolate advent calendars? Yes, when I was young. I used to open them every single day and eat them. Yeah, but not after that. Okay. Also, what about mince pies? Yes, mince pies. I like mince pies. Yeah, very nice. Can you do series on Urdu? Can I do a series on Urdu? Can I do a series in Urdu, you mean? Or regarding Urdu? Looks really good. Do you watch Mr. Beast? Yes, Mr. Beast. I watch Mr. Beast. Yeah, although I think some of his things are just lies. Yeah, because I don't think he's got that much money to kind of throw around. Yeah, but I do watch him now and again. No, I don't like watch him like a fan, but I watch him now and again. Any chance of reducing the Patreon prices? Yeah, I mean, you can. I want to see more books so I can build my vocabulary. Oh, you mean the ones that see, the problem is for me to do Patreon, I need to have people who are interested in it. So sometimes, I have to put the $14 one, which is about £10. Yeah, about £11 a month, because I need to get other people interested in there as well to support the channel. Otherwise, I won't be able to support the channel. So it's a kind of like catch-22 situation. I mean, I've got loads of content, free content on my YouTube channel. Check that out. Yeah, lots and lots of vocab stuff. Just go through the videos, you'll find loads of stuff. Is it true that a widow cannot go to her deceased husband's grave because they are no longer... Yeah, they can go. They can go to the grave. Is watching football haram? Its source of entertainment and team you support? I wouldn't say it's haram. Nuria Khan, are you Afghan? No, I'm not Afghan, but I am Pashtun. Yeah, so I'm from North Pakistan, from a place called Sawabi and a village called Gandaf, and my tribe name is Jadoon. So if you go on Google, type in Jadoon, Jadoon, and you'll find loads of information about our tribe. Yeah, so I'm from the Jadoon tribe. A series on learning Urdu from scratch? No, I wouldn't be comfortable. I'm not comfortable. I'm not able to teach how to learn Urdu. Like, I haven't learned Urdu grammatically. I've learned Urdu by picking it up. So I've been in Pakistan for 9 years, so I've learned Urdu picking it up. I can read Urdu books, I can speak Urdu, understand Urdu, but I can't teach the grammar of Urdu. Okay, you could do a Black Friday sale and Boxing Day sale. Is you 20% off? Okay. Yeah, okay. One of those, astaghfirullah. Yeah, you're gonna have people jumping into your Patreon, fighting each other, and one of those ones. Okay, do you have kids? No, I don't have any kids. Okay, so I mean, yeah, I think. I mean, Allah bless you guys as well. May Allah bless you. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so any other questions? No other questions. So anyway, I think you guys are tired as well now. Yeah, no one's anything else. So mashallah, let me show you guys my cat toys that someone sent me. I'm gonna show you my cat toys, yeah. So just stay with me, yeah. Stay with me. I'm gonna show you my cat toys. Okay, so you ready, guys? I'm gonna show you guys these toys now. Mashallah, someone sent these toys for the nameless cat. So it's a box, yeah, of cats toys. And I never knew that there is something like this, yeah. So look at this out. Yeah. So this is basically, yeah, look at this. What the hell does a cat do with this? You tell me, boy. Look at it, and the cat likes it. The cat just thinks it's like the cat goes crazy over this kind of little mouse kind of thing. Yeah. And it kind of makes a noise as well, look. Yeah. And then you have this thing which is like a rope with it, and you dangle it. Cat cat loves this. Goes crazy. And you got this. And look at this. There's a stick. And the cat, basically you do this to the cat and the cat just jumps, he goes wild, he goes crazy, mad. Yeah, does crazy acrobatics with this. And these are like some crazy Chinese, I don't know, Japanese or like crazy one of those toys. It's kind of like a rapper kind of sound in there. Yeah, and you know, she does these crazy things with this. So anyway, so mashallah, jazakallah khair, right, for sending these. Alhamdulillah. Okay, let's see. Okay. Can why now your surah's quotes are amazing. Please continue, inshallah. Jazakallah khair for your time. I have many questions. Allah, may Allah answer your questions. Can women go to the graveyard? Yes, they can. Which seerah book is, in your opinion, best seerah book? It all depends. I mean, different seerah books have different. And Bukhari's seerah is unique in its own way. Shama'il is unique in its own way. Seerah Ibn Hisham, seerah of Imam Ibn Kathir, of Al-Rahiq al-Makhtoum, very good. Martin Ling's very good. It's difficult to say. Okay, I'm not tired, still early here. Lucky you. Okay, MP, if they can control the emotions, e.g. where the famous pious people's graves. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. There's ikhtilaf of whether women can go to the graveyards or not. But a lot of the scholars, they say they can. Yeah, as long as they don't commit any sort of like wrong things over there. Okay, so why now make a video of her playing with the, yeah, inshallah, I'm going to do that. Problem is she's too hyperactive. She's crazy. Is it bad thing if you can't make it to janaza salat? No, it's not a bad thing. Try your best. هل بطل الوضوء إذا نام رجل جالس على مقعد سيارة بتحرك سيارة في أثناء السفر؟ في اختلاف الإمام طحاوي وغيره. نعم، لكن الجمهور المتأخرين على أنه ينقض الوضوء إذا كان النوم ثقيلا. أما إذا لم يكن نوم ثقيل بل وكان النوم خفيفا فهذا أمر اختلف فيه العلماء أيضا بأنهم قد اختلفوا في معنى خفة النوم. فالأصل أن كلما يثقل النوم على الإنسان يعني يفقد وعي الإنسان فيعتبر وضوءه قد نقض. نعم. أما الإمام طحاوي وغيره يقولون أن الوضوء لا ينقض في حالة الاستناد. يعني في حالة الاستناد كما ذكرت في السؤال، هذه الحالة لا ينقض لأن الجسم يبقى فيه التماسك في الأعضاء. May Allah answer your questions. May Allah bless you. Jazakallah khair. What do you think of Prince Andrew? Prince Andrew, if I was a woman, I'd probably marry him. Only joke. I mean, I don't understand. What do you think of Prince Andrew? I think he's a prince, isn't he? Never met the guy. His body moves haram. Allah knows best. Yeah. Is correct to understand that Rasulullah's adab create a love between people. Is correct to understand that Rasulullah's adab create a love between people. I don't understand the question. Are Jummah khutbah different all the time? Yeah, the Jummah khutbah is different all the time. Yeah, usually. I mean, I don't know if someone does the same ones. I mean, sometimes I do the same ones in different mosques. Traders, mashallah, traders, Said Sab, Sanga chal de. Okay, opinion on Islamic mortgages. Okay, all depends on Islamic mortgages, right? Islamic mortgages work different from one bank to another. So they're all different. You know, you got to find out the terms and conditions. Who will you vote in the general elections? Hope you're not a Tory. Labour. I'm voting for Labour. Yeah. So Corbyn, all the way, man. Corbyn. Anyway, Jazakallah khair. I think that's it, guys. I will finish this off with my toys. Yeah. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, you like that kind of, yeah, ventriloquist. Yeah, hello. Okay, you guys. Now the class is over. So all of you guys, go home, go to sleep, stop bothering the teacher. The big fish has entered the chat. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Yeah, well done for that comment. Okay, does proper Khayyam, MashaAllah. Does proper adab create love? Probably. Why not? Is any kind of trading halal except drugs? Yeah, as long as you give me a percentage. Yeah, as long as you give me a percentage, yeah, we'll sort something out. Yeah, we'll give you the fatwa. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna go now. So it's getting late for me. I'm getting tired, and I got the hints. Alright, I will see you inshallah next time. Jazakumullah khair again. And all you guys take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.